Hey friends, it's Rachel with the Ponds Farmhouse, and I'm here today with another quick and easy little craft project for fall. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be making these cute little pumpkins. These are so adorable. They would be great for just putting several of them on a shelf or on your mantle. But I'm actually going to be using them as place card holders on a table setting for Thanksgiving, and I think they're going to be adorable. So I'll show you how they're going to look when we finish. These can be painted any color, and so that makes it even more interesting to work with your decor. All we're using is these number 20 wood biscuits. These are used in woodworking, but we're going to be making a cute craft with them today with just by using some hot glue and some 4-inch little stems that we used on this. I'll bring this up a little closer so you can see the stem. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So I'm going to pull the camera down on the table and let you see how easy these are to make. We've got our glue gun ready, and we've got our little biscuits here. What we want to do first is, first of all, you're going to use 5 biscuits on each side. And so what I'm going to do is start putting them together. We're going to go ahead and put a little bead of glue just right here on this edge, and then I'm going to overlap these and hold that together. Now I want to make sure they're kind of straight before it sets up. So kind of keeping them even. What I tend to do is just lay it on the edge here so I can see. This is just a piece of wax paper, so I use the wax paper edge as my guide to make sure I've got them even. Okay, so we do one, and then we're going to do another one the exact same way. So we're going to go ahead and put this one on here. Make sure that they're pretty even. Okay. And then just hold that down. You do want to make sure that they're good and dry. You don't want to do this next step if they're still moving around, because now what we're going to do is we're going to put them together. Line them up. And then we're going to add another one. So we're going to put the glue kind of in the middle this time, just a good little amount. And we're going to lay that right in the center of the, whoops, I'm moving them around. Okay, put it right in the center. Okay, what I normally do is just go ahead and pick it up and make sure it looks like it's straight. So we don't want it to be uneven. So press those in really good. You can even lay it down if you want to and press it like that. So make sure that they're all even. I just push them down onto the table and make sure they're even. So now we'll line it back up and you can see that they are. So that's one side. Then we're going to do the exact same thing for the second side. So we need 5 more of the little discs. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first one. Put this on. Line them up. ready to attach. And so we've got 2 sides here. So let's begin by adding some glue to the back side of, let's see, add some glue stick in there. Get it really good. Okay, and then attach this one right on top. Whoops. Make sure they're even. Press them together. And make sure they're still like an even, so they're going to sit really pretty on your table. Okay. Now, once we get this done, now we're ready to paint them. So we're going to go ahead and paint these. I'm using this, it's called Toasted Terracotta, and it makes a really pretty color. You can see here how they turn out, using some antique white to kind of highlight the edges of it. And we're going to put our stem in. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, now that we have our little pumpkin put together, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and paint this. And I'm using a paint color called Toasted Terracotta, which I think is perfect for these little pumpkins. And we're just going to paint all over it. I want to get a little bit here on the inside, especially at the top, because you may be able to see that, as you can see down in there. I'm going to be using these as place card holders. I've got a couple of different tablescapes I'm really excited about doing for fall, and maybe even one for Halloween, and these would work for either one. But just get some of that paint down in there and cover up that light color of the wood. Then we're going to go ahead and paint the whole thing, making sure you get these little sides really good, because that little areas on these biscuits is rough, and so you want to make sure that you cover those really well. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put the stem on this one. And all I'm doing is I went out and I gathered some pine cones. And so these little pine cones have this cute little end on them with a little curved stem. And so I'm just using some pruning shears, cutting that off. And I've already cut some here so that we've got some ready to go inside this, this little pumpkin that's already painted up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this hot glue around. Let's see, I'm going to squeeze it in just a little bit. I want to get those ends to where I can tuck it down inside of this just ever so slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first and get some glue on it. This, it's not an exact science, just get it where it'll kind of stick in there when you stick it in. So I'm going to go ahead and push that down in there. There we go. Now see how cute that is? That's just perfect. Now I'm going to add a little bit more. You can see that this one needs a little touch up on the paint. It's a little weak in a few areas. But for the most part, it's got a good coverage. Sometimes those ends is where you have to really get in there and touch it up. Okay, all right. Now what we're going to do next is I'm going to take some off-white paint. Is actually, let's see, this is antique white. And what I'm going to do is just use a little bit of a watered down on the edge of my paintbrush. And we're just going to hit the highlights of this just to give it a little bit more of a shaded look around the edges. Now some of my paint is still a little wet, so we don't want to do too much here where it's wet. But just kind of highlight those ends to give it a little bit of a lighter look. Let me show you what it looks like when it's finished, when it dries. See, it just lightens up the corners here just a little bit. So that's what we're going for here. And then we've got our completed pumpkin. So I'll show you what these look like using them on the table before we leave. Okay, at the last minute, I've decided to add some little curlicues to these pumpkins. What I'm doing is I'm just taking some Mod Podge and some jute twine, and what I'm wanting to do is saturate the jute twine in the Mod Podge. You can use Elmer's glue here if you prefer, but just whatever you have on hand. And you just want to make sure you, as you're applying it, that you take off any excess. So I've got this black plastic glove on, and what I'm doing is just kind of squeezing it out as I go. And so we're going to get that whole little piece of jute twine. Since I'm making several of these little pumpkins, I'm using quite a bit of twine so that I can have several of the little tentacles that I'm wanting to make coming out from around the stem of each of the pumpkins. So we're going to go ahead and get this completely saturated here. And then what I'm using is just a plastic straw. This is just the easiest because I know that it will come loose from this plastic straw. I won't have to worry about it sticking to it and not coming loose. So you want to use something that's real slick that you can do. And just what you're going to do is just wrap it around this straw, just like you're seeing me doing here. You do not want to let any of the jute twine touch each other as you're wrapping it around. So be sure to keep it loose and away from each other. And once we get this all on here, we're going to set it aside to dry. It'll take a little while to dry because I've saturated it here with the Mod Podge. But once we get it all wrapped, we'll set it aside to dry. And then once it's dry, we're going to add these little curlicues to the pumpkins. Okay, now that the glue has dried on the jute twine, I'm just trimming it up a little bit, getting rid of any excess glue. And I've already cut a couple of these off, ready to use on the little pumpkins to give them a stem. So what I'm going to do, let's look at this one first. I'm going to go ahead and kind of put my stem, kind of decide how I want it to go in, and then I'm going to add some hot glue to it right here. And then we're just going to stick it right into the pumpkin, right underneath the stem. There we go. Now we've got a cute little pumpkin twirl there that's coming off of it perfectly. So make sure that's sticking in there. And then we're going to do another one the same way. Just taking a little bit of the end, putting some hot glue on it, and then sliding it in. Let's see, I'm going to do it from this side, slide it in underneath the little stem. There we go. Now let that kind of roll down. There we go. Okay, we're going to finish these up, and I'm going to show you what they look like on the table.